Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for joining. We're here celebrating the first time Microsoft Windows connected customers and partners alike. It occurred in 2000 when Windows 2000 was released with the wide area networking capabilities. We're here just in front of the store. This is just a personal event. I thought that this would be a good opportunity to not only celebrate the event and the technologies, but also to showcase some of the stuff we're doing as far as Microsoft and some of the opportunities we have coming up. I'm a developer, a partner with Microsoft, both in enterprise and education alike, including small business, SMBs, and look forward to showcasing you some of that. Going to,
Hey Thomas, I thought I would join here.
hey there.
Did I make it in?
Morning.
Good.
So I was just explaining what we're doing here, just celebrating a little bit, a personal event, celebrating the technologies, and also showcasing some of the new technologies that give us abilities to connect. And Teams is definitely a very unique and capable, powerful resource, both when it comes to standing alone as an application, but also integrating with Microsoft in many of the technologies that they have. We're basically just hanging out, enjoying the evening. It's quite nice here. It was raining in the beginning of the day and thought we'd have to bring an umbrella, but it's pretty nice here so far. So good. How about over there? How's the weather where you're at?
Well, it's deep Canadian winter. Actually, it's not too bad as far as Canadian winters go. But last week it was about minus 28 Celsius, so that was pretty chilly. So, but we'll be in San Francisco next week, enjoying some closer weather to what you're enjoying. I think.
Right on. I bet you're looking forward to that.
We are.
Like California weather. Speaking of which, I'll do a screen share here and showcase some of the features that we're working with and why we're showcasing Teams. Um, this is the event team that we have here, the Windows 2000 anniversary. And it being a personal event, we really didn't connect a lot of people, and it being new technologies, it's very similar to the new technologies when they first roll out. Um, so we're happy to be able to demonstrate the ease of use and the security, and further explain in person something of a more of a personal share where others can see us interact and see what the uses are and stuff. So here I'm basically just showcasing myself and presenting. In these examples, what I've done is I've created a channel for CyberMongol, and then I've added just a few web links. Um, Although they're just web links, of course, they can showcase what you are doing and gives a quick reference in stuff that you already have. And the other features with connecting, there's tons of abilities. Here I'm scrolling through and I'm just showing some of the ones that are already on the platform that are available. This one is a developer version, so it has a lot of stuff to it. But the opportunity to manage the apps, here we have some standard apps that come already available to use. And then here we have a list of other apps that are also available. And we'll see a huge list. All these, a an attendee or companies or somebody that has relevance to the event that they're attending can use this type of stuff, whether it's from CRMs or showing news or showing planning, offering opportunities for others to connect in a variety of ways, whether it's presenting something in OneNote. And really, it's almost limitless because you also have connectors here where you can custom integrate connections where, as if you're using this like we are to show an event, during the event you can go here and have your channel, and then you can add what you'd like to share with others. And in this case, it enables others to basically get to know one another while they're standing in line for an event. Here for CyberMongo, we have a few items, and before we show them, can you explain to us what you have coming up with San Francisco?
Sure. We are builders of a cyber intelligence platform that's very forward-looking. We have sensors that actually surveil the security community, because in our research we've seen that adversaries quite extensively surveil the security community in order to migrate their own tradecraft to skirt modern defenses. So we've actually been quite successful in this last year testing our back-end sensor technology, sometimes predicting ways that tradecraft will migrate 3 to 6 months ahead of any FBI bulletin or formal write-up of a campaign that was found. So we are exhibiting with the Ontario government, so Ontario, Canada, because I know there's an Ontario, California, just to be clear. And we are one of, I think it's 8 level 1 exhibitors in the pavilion. There's 18 companies coming from Ontario's tech sector in total, and it should be a really good. It should be a really good show. They put on. I think you're gonna flip on to one of them. I think it's the 25th. There's a business kind of wine and cheese thing, and we're expected to bring in about 500-600 people just in an hour and a half. So that's really kind of neat. There's a few other companies, my company included, that we're going to do talk at the Canadian Consulate in San Francisco to an audience of, I believe it's information security officers. So that's kind of neat as well. And then you just have the coolness of RSA that's happening in the background. So all in all, it should be a really interesting event.
Yeah, I wish I could make it myself. I definitely am going to participate in however I can in learning the information. I may not be able to participate in real time, but I definitely look forward to seeing the results and the stuff that comes out of the event. And to me, it's a very interesting scenario where you have a security event where it's an exposition of that. You know, seeing others get together, and then also seeing CyberMongo where they're doing that kind of thing. It's very interesting, and we're glad to have met you.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual. Yeah, and an event of that magnitude too. I think they're expecting 40,000 attendees. I mean, that's a huge event focused around security. But you know what, Thomas, we need it. I mean, it's more critical than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, with TechWealth, when I first founded TechWealth in 2008, one of the very first posts that we did was ID security, and we started off in there, and so it's very cool to have that as a mention. I might add, just as needed today, if not more so, surprisingly. You have all these scenarios where we have new privacy laws being enacted. We have new technologies with tighter security, different types of securities, whether it's RSA or GDPR. I said that right?
Yeah, you did.
And you know, MFA and a variety of other you know, security opportunities, but we still find that with just as many security opportunities that you get, you still find the security risks with them as well.
Yeah, and you know, there's a real one of the real problems within the security industry right now is, I'm sure you've heard it, is the cybersecurity skills shortage. Not to beat you know, a horse with a dead stick or whatever the expression is, but it is a real problem. And especially, I mean, that's one of the motivations we built our platform for, is not only to ingest trending adversary tradecraft, especially more on the advanced side, but also to articulate that, one, in a visual way so that analysts can consume that data, but also that's the thinking behind the conversational intelligence, almost like a chatbot, that will step-by-step teach you this adversary tradecraft based on the sensors, what the sensors are ingesting. So aside from a real skills shortage, I'm also part of my former college's board for advanced networking. One of the real hardships, but difficulties, is the slowness in which a curriculum can come together to keep pace with actual adversary tactics. This was a big motivation for us. Our curriculum, so to speak, what's delivered from the conversational intelligence is generated almost in quasi-real time from the signals we're ingesting from the wild. So we're really trying to get away from that static built curriculum and really get dynamic, understand and listen to what the community and adversaries are doing, and kind of help defenders just really accelerate their learning curve.
That's cool. It's very interesting how combining the community scenario, and in doing that, it's definitely new and refreshing. When I saw part of it, I instantly said, well, that's new. That's more of a, it seems there was a mention as far as 5G technology being such a spectacular technology, but then on the other end, it mentioned that along with its technology abilities come the same types of risks, where we get much faster stuff and much faster capabilities, but then we also get more of hive threats and newer threats that the new technologies bring along. And seeing the intro that I saw of yours, which I'd like to show here if we can,
Sure.
was very interesting. While I have it on this screen, I'll ask you a couple questions and comment kindly that when I initially saw this, I saw this part that said "connect to us," and seeing all these things that you do, I was kind of timid and saying, I don't know if I want to connect with these guys. What does that mean? So
of course, we're testing you.
But yeah, no, I'll definitely click on it right here, and I'll show that it actually has to do with the social aspect, and you know, the opportunities to email and share through LinkedIn and Twitter like that. But along also seeing the Guru platform and seeing the opportunities both to connect and then also being on top of a platform, I wanted to bring that up, you know, and just kindly mention that. And if I could, I think I'm going back here. Yeah, where we're here. Is it okay if I play this video? Do you mind explaining what's happening while we see this?
Yeah, sure. Now that one's unfortunately only in 4K, so I'm hoping it will come out nicely on your broadcast here. But
I think it will. I mean, I looked at it earlier and it was.
Maybe it's just tough on mobile. Yeah.
Yeah, this I saw this in the beginning was. So can you explain what we're seeing here?
Yeah, so even though it's a little blurry, it's what you're looking at there is actually the exploit tool ecosystem. So we map the relationships between exploit tools, their makers, and the relationships within the community with other exploit tools and other makers. And then we have, as we're moving to the left, you have 3 custom feeds with links to all the underlying assets. So basically, those are different signals, like trending CVE proof of concept. So not only does our chatter feed, which is the one you're scrolling in the middle there, will pick up what the security community is actually talking about, which, say, bug hunters might find some type of bug, and then there's associated CVE number allocated with it. But we specifically want to track when proof of concept code, exploit code has been developed for those CVEs. And that's that column on the far right there. And then the one you're scrolling in there is actually the trending tools. So it's visualized just a little differently than the graph. Instead of the graph showing relationships, that's actually showing by latest activity. So you get kind of a hot feed of what tools are being worked on, and then again, links to the underlying assets. Well, actually, you know what? You weren't scrolling. It was my own video, but hey, it worked out. And then if there was another video on the Guru platform tab that actually showed the conversational AI. Now it's a little bit older. We're just coming out of development, so the AI is something that we've been aggressively working on for the show. So it looks a little different other than that, but I plan on updating videos and showing the platform, and it should be up on the site soon.
And so when we're watching this, I see us go to a screen here, which show us opportunities to find stuff. Like here, we're at GitHub,
Yeah.
and this this is showing that um, basically where it originates and where it can be found, right? And it tells you about that.
Right, and it's actually the actual exploit that's been developed for whatever bug it's associated with. In this case, CVE 2019-19781. So, like I was saying, it's critically important not only for bug researchers to find these bugs initially, but especially for enterprise, they need to know when there's actually proof of concept exploit code available to the public. Because basically, you find a bug, okay, but is there anything exploiting it? Not yet. But this feed tells you, okay, there's active exploits that are available publicly for that bug. And that, as you can imagine, is another level of criticality for an enterprise who may have that vulnerability.
Yeah, definitely. With both the ability to see the tools that are used instead of just seeing the threats, it definitely is very eye-opening and gives you the opportunity to see that. Like for me, seeing it initially with just a quick look, it definitely gives me an opportunity to see what tools are being widely available, and to see the platform and the showcase that I see here, knowing that I can actually go in here and search for trending tools, and trending chatter seems
Yep.
very interesting. Can you mention what the trending chatter is?
Sure. So basically, we're monitoring social influencers, different social connection points, basically what the security community is talking about. So, for instance, it could be anything from exploit tools, bugs that were found, different tactics. A lot of times, the security community will share researcher content, either vendor researcher or just individual research. And why is that? That's important because we find that criminals and adversaries also share the exact same research, but on their criminally controlled communication assets. So they're watching the same things as the good guys are watching. And this is why we watch the security community. We try and get to the source and anticipate these emerging threats. Actually, it was the last blog post I just wrote about. It talked about the migration of tradecraft, specifically credential access. So, Mimikatz used to be a really big staple in the red teamer or adversary toolkit, but nowadays most EDR or antivirus solutions will catch that within a blink of the eye. So by last summer, about July, our sensors started picking up just an explosion of tradecraft associated with credential dumping. And this was the security community trying to work their way around these advanced technologies that were catching their normal ways they would capture credentials that way. And we saw those signals. And just yesterday, there was a threat report put out about Iranian APTs. And in that report, it showed these exact methodologies that we were tracking back from July were used against enterprise, paired with exploiting external remote access like Citrix and Pulse Secure into these attack vectors. So these are some of the really kind of neat ways we're seeing our data and research come to life and validating it. Where it's tough to be predictive, but it seems that the sensors that we have out in the wild seem to be doing a pretty decent job at it.
Yeah, with all the information being shared and all the data passing through. On the visual with the dots and the lines, are you able to zoom in and click on one of them, or?
Yeah. So actually, you can zoom right in, and you'll be able to hover over the nodes, and it will give you basically the same information as what's on the feed. Right now, you can't click on it and go directly to the underlying asset. You'd have to search it out in the feed, but the data is the same. But that's in the works. And also something we'd like to do is when you're searching the feeds, and it will change the graph and kind of almost auto zoom in for you on the little miniature cluster, the development cluster associated with whatever exploit you're looking at.
So it'll show on the right more of it, of what you find on the left.
Basically, the right is all about relationships. Who's connected to that? How do they fit into the larger ecosystem? And we found that's very important because relationships actually show two things. The relationship shows if I'm an exploit tool developer and I'm connected to other successful projects and I create a new tool, chances are good that this tool is going to be effective. Also, we have found other emerging tools just by their connections within these clusters. For instance, tools that attack two-factor authentication and capture the session.
So you see them when they basically come out new.
That's right.
Oh, there's a new one. There's something to watch. It's something to learn about.
Yeah, the graph is updated as our tools ingest signals in quasi-real time.
Well, one of the things I really liked seeing on LinkedIn, seeing some of your posts where you talk about the exploit, you talk about the tool being used, but then you also talk about the solution and the technology. You talk about what it's being said about, like if it's Microsoft, if it's an exploit thing for Microsoft, and you'll talk about you'll give access to and a mention of what the resolve is or the solution is.
Sure, definitely. I mean, it's if we have it, it's definitely important to spread remediation as much of it is doom and gloom. You know what I mean?
Well, I give you kudos on that because I've seen a lot of and I still do. I see a lot of security experts and so forth talk about the threats, but they don't ever really talk about the solution. So I thought that was very refreshing. On top of the scenario of showing the tools that are being leveraged for it.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Thank you.
If I can, I'll go here and show the exhibitors here. This is a really cool layout, and it shows the companies that are going to be showcasing. Here we have Cyber Mongrel here, and it has a list of the. I'm seeing different pages. I'm not sure if those are all showing, but of course we can go here and then it shows the whole floor plan. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's our booth there in relation to the other booths on that floor. And yeah, it's a little confusing, Thomas. It's because this is actually out of the government's handbook that they're handing out. So I just was showing the 21, it was actually 21, not 18, 21 Canadian companies attending RSA with the
Okay, very cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad because I was looking forward to having the opportunity to know if you were live at the event, that where you'd be located. So that's really cool.
And then you can from the event, so that might be pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, I definitely appreciate you helping us to demo some of this, and I'm just hanging out here, and I've gotten a few calls. I'm not really sure if others are struggling. I've had a few that were planning to attend, but I'm not sure if they are confusing the link with the invite, which is kind of unique. So that the difference between that is that if you get a link to a meeting, you can join a meeting just by meeting. You can click on it, and basically, if you have it set up, you can have these callers come in, and they have to basically wait in the lobby. And so after, when they're in the lobby, then you can say, oh, okay, yes, let's let them in. Let's let them in. So if you give out a meeting invitation, of course you want to limit it not to worldwide. And of course, these events are going to be more specific, whereas you may have somebody listings, showcasing some information, and then you may have meeting invites. And it's really an invite that's sent out to a group or an event-based thing where it's not like the whole world's going to attend. But either way, though, on that note, we look forward to seeing doing another test here in the near future of how many connections we can actually make. That should be really cool. But on the meeting portion, yeah, it really is. We've been working a lot on developing, and we have a lot of opportunities coming up, and thought that this would be a great time to both do a video introduction to say hi, and also to demonstrate some of the stuff we're doing here. On the channel list here, we have Cyber Mongol listed, and with this, gives you a variety of things. If you're invited to a team such as this for an event, before the event, you can type and you can showcase stuff and present stuff to others to where they have an opportunity to learn about you before the event. And you have an opportunity to connect and share information and opportunities with them to where it's kind of like standing in line, talking to others and talking about an event and talking about why you're there, and being able to share that with others, before the event. This is designed to where after the event, you really don't get anything else. You'll get a thank you note, and you don't have to worry about joining and then all of a sudden getting a bunch of invites and being committed to anything. So this event's kind of unique in that, in expressing that. But some other opportunities.
The virtual lineup here, like you're discussing, where you can chat while you're waiting before and after. That's a really neat feature.
Well, thanks for joining and help us demonstrate that. Here I'll show just a couple things. These are things that are already connected for our developer portion, and we get to see that we have a variety of things, and they're just here quickly accessible. But you can go here and say more apps, and really have a lot to showcase. In fact, you did one that was really cool. While we were working on this, you did one that drew up a form and gave the opportunity to quickly. I was surprised how quickly that you made that.
It was really intuitive.
I'm trying to find it, but I guess I'm not here.
There's one in the main Windows channel I threw up there too. I mean, I could do it in a matter of seconds. It was pretty neat.
That was cool because you didn't have to sign up for anything or log into anything. You were able to just use that and create that very, very quickly. And it gave an opportunity. So like when you're waiting in line and you're chatting and getting to know people, you're able to create a poll and create a questionnaire to where others can quickly see that, to know that it's not just straight conversation. It's very dynamic in what you can share.
And the gifts are fun too, I have to admit.
Right? I like the gifts. Here's one. Yeah, speaking of which, here's one that I had planned and had showcased. These right here, they're just freely available. They're kind of like automatically added, so you can find the ones that you may find, that they're safe. And in this one, this is probably one of my favorite ones. Seeing the sparklers, we're seeing a few more. And of course, I couldn't make a sparkler like that. So being able to showcase something like that, it helps me in celebrating and giving that opportunity. Both during the event, like I'm doing right now, and then also waiting in line and showcasing, because this can actually be created beforehand. You don't have to wait until you're speaking with somebody. You can actually post on here and share a wide variety of things, both on the posting and then also on the tabs, which the exhibitor or the host can add them for you. Here was the intro video that we had for you, and if I'm not correct, if I am not mistaken, was this the blog that you were talking about, or is this?
Yeah, it was.
Very cool. I look forward. How often do you post on the blog regularly, or?
You know what? It is more of a regular thing for us now. We're just kind of building our social presence, our website. We're just building that presence. So we're definitely we're keeping a regular pulse, even if it is just snippets of signals or intel on LinkedIn, or a longer blog post talking about more in-depth technical analysis of what's happened. But yeah, definitely you can expect to see regular output from us.
Well, that's good to hear. So part of what you're saying is that the content you put on the blog is not so much going to be like a rattle off of constant specific items. It's going to be quality content where very blog structured, where the content that you find is not so dated, like like an exploit may be hot now and not later.
Absolutely. It's going to be trending. It's going to come right off our platform. It really is meant to give a good example of what you can expect if you're paying for the service.
Very cool. Well, I look forward to learning more, definitely. And let's see here. We can actually see the floor plan if they show.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
It hasn't popped up yet, but I see you clicked on view floor plan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's taking us away from the screen. So we were able to see the floor plan that you guys are at. So that's the one we were really interested in as well.
That seems a little self-serving, but I'll go with it.
Well, if I may, I'll show just a few things, an example of partly why that we are showcasing this event through the structure that we are. Here's some examples, and I posted these on the event posting, and this just gives an opportunity to show some of the specifics Microsoft related. To show that we are both Microsoft Education partners and Microsoft Enterprise partners, as well as we are Microsoft Education Development partners in both the hardware aspect and the software aspect and the community aspect. So we have a bunch of stuff coming up with this. Look forward to sharing some more. And here is some other examples. We have something that's called Enterprising Individual Program coming up. And in this program, we will be covering a variety of things. Here's a few examples: banking, business, legal counsel, intellectual property, investing, creating a legal structure for both presentation, business plans, managing a business, managing financial affairs, managing financial relationships, creating roadmaps, success roadmaps, working with stocks, investing, varying from portfolio management, and basically a large portion of what it takes to be an enterprising individual. This is just a simple showcase, just to demo what we're doing here, but we'll have a large portion in this where we will show who we work with, how we structure it, and the opportunities that are being presented. It's unique and different in where you might have seen others offering these kind of scenarios. We work to not only look at the opportunities, but also look at the technologies behind them. And we work with a wide variety in them, and not only working with the opportunities, but working with the technologies that make them happen. So that's just a small a demo of some of this really cool stuff we have coming up in Teams. And we'll have a lot more of this. Again, this is just a very brief introduction in celebrating the opportunity to use these technologies and remembering the time that when it first occurred, and showcasing some of the stuff that are unique in joining a team. So I thank you very much for joining us, Jeff. Did you have any questions for us?
Well, you know what, you've really gone through quite a bit here. I gotta say, Thomas, it's really valuable what you're doing, because being a Teams user myself, I didn't know half of this functionality even existed. So I think what you're doing is really valuable, and there's just a lot of good stuff here, and I look forward to your next videos.
Well, thank you. I look forward to learning more about CyberMongrel. really like the community aspect, and definitely will be. I have the RSA 2020 exhibition on my calendar to be watching, and I look forward to connecting more of learning who's there, and definitely look forward to opportunities to see you guys there as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely a pleasure. Look forward to it again, and thanks for attending.
Enjoy your party tonight.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's been a blast.